The Mandalorian Episode 5, The Pirate Man, and we are back on Navarro, and you know what this episode is about just by looking at the title. That's right, your boy is back, the Pirate King in the Outer Rim. I already told you in my past reviews that I love when they expand on the pirates and how much of an issue the New Republic has, because the New Republic was never meant to rule anything. They just decided to have one job, and that job was to eliminate the Empire, and then after that, they were just like, what do we do now? And you can see all the problems every single episode this season has brought into light. And it's kind of sad because I feel like we're just kind of New Republic haters at this point. But really, I mean, everybody that was actually useful and capable of stuff was probably working for the Empire. They were indoctrinated, or they were just extremely loyal to the Empire, and they ended up getting killed, or they were turncloaked, or they're in a prison. So there isn't really a lot of capable New Republic people out there. And our boy Carson is back. Yes, that's right. I love this character. And we get to see the Aldhani outpost, which is really cool because, you know, with the New Republic and the military, it's kind of rare to see this type of stuff. You only really get to see a lot of the militarization when the Resistance comes in the sequel trilogy. Now, I did love this because we get to see Zeb. And of course, Zeb is such a huge character in Star Wars Rebels, but it's his design that is so important because if you ever looked at the Ralph McQuarrie concept art from the original trilogy, he is actually what Chewbacca was supposed to look like. And without those designs, without that art being there, Chewbacca may have never existed. So I'm glad that we got to see him in live action. But I was really thrown off because to see Zeb, a Lasat, right? They're really cool. They're really cool looking. They're purple. There isn't a lot of them also in the world. I mean, their whole entire race was actually the victim of genocide. And I think there's only maybe like 10 or 11 of them that are left. Ahsoka is going to be coming out later this year, so I guess we're going to figure out where the rest of his crew is, but to see him still doing work and still busy with the New Republic, I think that says a lot of good stuff about where he's come from and how he's doing right now, so it was awesome to see them as well. And we get right back into it with the Mandalorian lore, and I missed it, man. Don't get me wrong, I love the slow pacing, I love all the writing that's very similar to Andor and of course the expanded universe of these novels. But this show excels when it is all about the Mandalorians. And you can even see they've taken like Grogu on like a little side accessory tour over here. He didn't really get a lot of screen time. But we did get to see Paz Vizsla and Bo-Katan again, the Armorer and the Mandalorian. And more Mandalorians in the Enclave, which I thought was awesome. Now we get to see them and doing what they do best, dropping down from the sky and laying some lead. Now, I will say that although this episode had a lot more action in it, I do think that the quality of the action wasn't as great as I hoped it. Now, of course, the duration of the action that I love seeing, but I just felt like some of the action seemed a little kind of watered down, a little weird, maybe the movements, I don't know, something about it was just a little off. But I did love the setting. Oh my gosh. There's one thing that we don't get enough of, and it's in-atmosphere fighting, especially with flagships and starfighters and things like that. We rarely get to see that, and we've seen a lot more of that this season, of course, in the previous episodes with Bo-Katan and Mandalorian doing his stuff in the N1. But it's so cool to see a giant flagship, and the way it moves, the way it shoots, that's not really something we get to see a lot in the Star Wars universe, especially with a flagship like that. Now, we're not talking about a Star Destroyer. That'd be very hard to do with a Star Destroyer because they're so large. There's about 15 to like 40,000 people in there, depending on like how large the Star Destroyer is. But to see the Pirate King going around doing his thing with the little flagship that he only had like 4 or 5 snub fighters. I love that. I want to see more of that. I think Star Wars honestly has so many components of its universe, including starships and space battles, and we rarely get to see that. And in atmosphere battles, I feel like are non-existent in the Star Wars lore in live action. So I want to see more of that. And thank you for the Mandalorian for showing us and giving us that gift. But can we talk about our boy? Yes, he's our boy now. Paz Vizsla coming in with a motivation, baby. I gotta chill. I just get really hype about Paz Vizsla. I was giving him a lot of shit the last couple reviews, man. I thought he was really salty. And of course, we can see from the last episode, he owes Bo-Katan and Din Djarin. And I love to see that. I love to see that character development because even though he disagrees, even though he really does want the Darksaber and he does kind of feel like he wants to rule Mandalore as well, you know, he's kind of stepping aside. And for him to give that motivational speech at the end there, somewhat rejuvenating the spirit of the Mandalorians, because he asked them a really good question, you know, why are we meant to sacrifice again? And then he has a great answer, because we are Mandalorians. Oh man, and I love that, especially with this creed, right? The way, the children of the Watch. They're so devoted to the way of the Mandalorian, and I feel like there's a lot of Mandalorians that forget where they come from. I mean, even Din Djarin was also a victim of this in the first episode when he was trying to learn how to ride the blurg, and he couldn't ride the blurg. And Queel had to tell him, was like, bro, what? Get up, man, ride that blurg. You're literally, your ancestors rode the mythosaur. What is you doing, you know? So I love how every single part of this show is continuously like redefining yourself, reinventing your ways. You know, just because you've been doing something for so long doesn't mean you're not going to get smacked on your ass a couple times, man. And I love them building themselves up, and we've seen Mandalore go from enclave to enclave to enclave, and I love this journey for the Mandalorians. And then, of course, the dialogue, man. The dialogue between the armor and Bo-Katan is so compelling. It's so interesting. I just want to sit into a room and just hear them. Let me see the dialogue. Let me see the conversation, please. I want to know what's going on. And when she actually brought attention to Bo-Katan and told her to take off her helmet, I was terrified for my life. I really thought something was about to go down, because you really have to feel like Bo-Katan has given up so much. You know, she's really trying to adjust to this new way of life. And then, of course, she does something that I never saw coming, that the armorer literally said, dude, you know what? You have seen it. You've seen the mythosaur. You know, you walk both worlds. You are the person. You, Bo-Katan, are the person that can unite all tribes of Mandalorians. Oh my God, man. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Dude, if I was like Bo-Katan, I'd be sitting there looking at the armor like, me? I think even Bo-Katan had a little bit of like disbelief in her eyes. You could see that when she takes and removes her helmet. And then, of course, they don't, sometimes Mandalorians, sometimes the show Mandalorian in Star Wars doesn't show enough of something, but this, they showed everything they needed to. And then they show her coming back out, and then with her face off, you know, with her mask off, and then Armor is sitting right there, and everyone's looking at her like, what the heck? Look at this apostate walking amongst us now. And the fact that the Armorer was there to defend her, and so was Din Djarin. Bo-Katan is getting set up. You know, like, she's getting put on this pedestal now that, I mean, even when Star Wars Rebels, where they gave her the Darksaber, I felt like she was getting put on the pedestal now and set up for failure. But this is, I think this is the highest that she's ever been set up. I mean, like, everyone is telling her, you know what? You're the one. You're going to do this. But oh my gosh, we're about to find out whether or not this is going to be a blessing or a curse. Now we're going to see whether or not these Mandalorians at the end of this episode were the Mandalorians that did free Moff Gideon. And I'm really worried because, you know, Bo-Katan did briefly say that everyone that was with her went off and are doing their own things now as mercenaries. And then we've seen Star Wars Rebels that the super commandos of the Mandalorians, you know, there are Mandalorians that went astray and joined the Empire as well. This renegade fighters that are teaming up with the Imperials and freeing Moff Gideon, or is this something new? Is this something else? I'm terrified to find out, because I feel like that's going to be huge drama for Bo-Katan to figure out. But at the end of the day, fam, this episode was great. I want to say, like, I liked it. I liked it a lot, but I don't think it was as good as the other episodes. Even with the end dialogue there, I just felt like the action was just kind of meh a little bit at times. So I would probably give it like a 7 out of 10, maybe an 8 because of the dialogue at the end and how they're building up Bo-Katan. I really love to see that. But I want to see more. I can't wait to see how much this episode is setting up, because that's the biggest thing. The payoff is going to happen here. We only have 3 more episodes left of The Mandalorian, and I feel like we're about to get huge pay dirt soon, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen. So make sure you subscribe, fam. I gotta go and edit this video, so I'll see you around. Deuces.